Hello and welcome to today's session. We're going to focus on other causes of anxiety. Some of these causes of anxiety can also be symptoms of anxiety, so they can exacerbate anxiety that is already there. Or it might be telling you something that you need to slow down or change something in your routine. So talking of routines, I'm going to start with sleep. Sleep is intrinsic to our well-being, whether it be mental well-being or physical well-being. We need sleep to rejuvenate our bodies and to rejuvenate our minds through processing, through REM sleep, rapid eye movement, and all the other processes that go on whilst we're in slumber. So how well do you sleep? Do you sleep well? Do you sleep lightly? Do you wake up a lot? Do you have a sleep routine at all, which is a routine that you have before you sleep so that you're preparing yourself for sleep? Or do you just go to bed and crash out? And do you have routines in your daily life? Because what you're doing in the day will also set you up for sleep. If you have stability and routine, at least at some point in the day, it gives your brain a reminder that what time it is and the sleep is coming. So let's have a look in a little bit more detail and ask a few more questions. Do you get up the same time or different times each day? It's better if you can go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time, roughly, even on weekends or non-work days, or if you're not working, every day in any case. Working hours or any other times where you're taking responsibility. Are those hours regular or erratic? So we're talking about your waking hours. If they're erratic, then we need to work with that. But if they are regular, that will give you good stability, which is what we're looking for in as many places as possible. So if we cannot find it in our working or responsibility hours, we can find stability in the times that we eat. So do you eat regularly? Do you eat at the same times each day? Do you eat healthily? Do you keep your sugar levels at a good place? Your energy levels at a good place? And also exercise. So if you're utilising your energy during the day, you'll be slowing yourself down so that you can go to sleep because you're tired. You're properly mentally and physically tired. So lastly, do you get enough downtime? That's downtime where you can please yourself. You can relax, you can exercise, you can do what you feel you want to do. We need this time to process in our brains, but also to relax our bodies if we need to. And again, it can create stability and set us up for a good night's sleep. So if you find you're not getting enough downtime, particularly in the hours leading up to when you're going to sleep, then try to find a routine that will stabilise that. So if you are kept up late by a baby or working hours or something else, and your brain is concentrated on that thing, then you need to give yourself time to get into sleep mode. You may not be able to sleep straight away after dealing with something of that nature. So it's not about trying to get to sleep and tossing and turning and because your brain's still awake. It's about having a routine that slows your mind down, ready for a peaceful night's sleep. I'd like to touch on somatic and psychosomatic links here. So somatic are the things we feel in our body, and the psychosomatic is something we feel in our bodies caused by something in our brain. So if we are anxious, we may sort of stiffen and not be relaxed. We may cause aches and pains. The aches and pains may then cause more anxiety or low mood. So it's always worth having a look at how you're feeling in your body and how you're feeling in your mind, and seeing if there are any links between the two. Sometimes they're symptoms that are telling us something, and it's important that we take note of those things because they can help us to get out of anxiety. Jealousy and envy. We've kind of touched on this before when I gave an example of a client when we were looking at comparisons. So jealousy and envy will usually come up because we feel someone has something better than us, or their experiences are better than us. They may be going on a holiday and we're not. Things like that. The more we can accept what we've got and take down that jealousy and envy of other people, the better we're going to feel. Because if we do feel those things, not only are they a very unpleasant feeling to have, they can be anxiety causing because we are so unhappy in what we've got in comparison to other people. So it's worth looking at any comparisons that you make, and whether the green-eyed monster is coming out and I'm feeling pretty rotten about it all. Fear and catastrophizing. Both can affect us negatively and can cause anxiety. We've already looked at fear. Catastrophizing will come from fear if we let the fear run away with us. So we want to look at what we can do about fear so that we don't catastrophize. It can be difficult, particularly these days, as the media is always telling us all the things, terrible things that are going on in the world. We can feel bombarded with things around government and people, and we can, feel really quite low about the world around us. And also, it depends on who we hang around with and how they are dealing with their fears and what's going on around them. So if we're not careful, we can catastrophize by surrounding ourselves with other people who have a lot of fear and catastrophize as well. So that's one thing to look at. But what can we do about it to build up our resilience to fear? Let's have a look at a few things you can do. So what we want to do is we want to bring up situations where you have felt fearful in the past, and we want to look at those because those are things that you have already gotten through. They would have built resilience for you. So let's have a look. Have a think and write down each event that occurred. How did you feel? What did you think? What did you do about it? Did you call on others to help, or did you deal with it alone? Did you phone a friend or a professional to come in and fix something? Did you spend a lot of time procrastinating, or did you tackle it quickly? What resources did you use? People, objects, the internet, the telephone? Did you call a professional in to help? If so, how did you find them? Did it cost money to sort out, or did you find a way to save money? When we are mindful and bring up memories of the things that we've already dealt with, and we look at them in this kind of detail, it helps us to remind ourselves of our own resilience. We may not have been through the thing that we're now fearful about, but we will have already dealt with it in another way in the past, something similar. And if it's not similar, then it will be something else that we can bring our resilience in from, to soothe us, to know that we'll be okay with this new thing that's happened, or new thing that we're fearful of. So pause the video and make a note of those things so that you can start to work on them and rebuild yourself to know just what you've got in you to deal with anything in the future. So now we've looked at some things that you got through in the past that had initially been fears for you. So let's now look at what we can do about the present and into the future. Write down all the resources that you have right now. That could be friends, family, all the personal skills that you have. Could be a car, telephone, the internet. All your resources, all the support that's around you, and all the things that you can use should something happen. We're not thinking about specific things happening, but we're just looking at the resources that we have and where we can get our strength and support from, and practical support as well. Sharing our fears, or just talking about the things that we need to deal with, that we're worried about, for example, can halve the actual fear itself. It can be very soothing to talk about it. We don't want to get bombarded by other people's opinions, but also if we feel we trust someone enough for their opinion on a matter, then it can be worth looking at that as well. But you empower yourself by using all of your resources, but essentially making your own mind up. Practically, what are your skills? I bet it'd be a really long list, but could you write them down? That's all skills. Everything you can do, mentally, physically, everything you've learned. Maybe make a note of those things. It's all very self-soothing and empowering as well. So in the moment, if we have a fear, we can write the fear down, and then we can look at the pros and cons and make a note of those as well. We can logicalise a situation. We can look to see, is there only one answer, or are there choices? And what choices do I have? That's something for the future that will help you to decide what to do. Do not avoid your smaller fears. If you can tackle your smaller fears, you'll be more ready if something bigger comes along. Also, continually builds resilience for when things happen. As for the media, we can't change the media, so we have to accept that it's there. Accept that bad things are happening all day, every day outside of our world. We can choose how involved we are with that, and we can take control of what information we take in based on how it affects us. So if something brings us down into a low mood or causes anxiety, it might be better to stand back and not suck up so much of that information that's causing those things for you, at least until you feel more resilient to deal with them. Getting older can cause low mood and anxiety, and other issues as well. Inevitably, if we keep on living, we are going to get older. Our skin will change, our energy levels will change, we will have physical changes. So aging falls into two categories: the physical, biological, which are all the physical things that change within us, and the psychosocial, which is all about how we're feeling about where we're at in the world, where our place is, things like that. So aging in our bodies, we need to be able to accept that those things are happening and work with ourselves along the way. That's where our check-ins become really important, because we want to know, how am I feeling about myself during these changes? Now for women, the menopause can cause quite a lot of issues, physical and mental. Men also go through changes in midlife, but also as we age after that. We may not be able to do as many things. We may lose some of our independence. In a sense, when we were babies and we were growing up, we were helpless and vulnerable at the beginning. And then we were taught things. We learned how to crawl, we learned how to walk, we learned how to speak, we learned how to behave. And in a sense, when we get that much older, we start to go backwards, almost back towards being a vulnerable child again. And each stage of aging needs to be dealt with. So it's well worth looking at how you feel about your age, and the aging process that you're going through, and do whatever you need to do to make that as comfortable as possible. So maybe talking to other people about it, joining groups of similar aged people. It's not always about how other people feel about it, but it's good to know that you're not alone. And of course, if we are aging, then we're lucky enough to be alive, and that is a really good thing in itself. So it's a privilege to go through the aging process, albeit it can cause stress and anxiety. Health and health anxiety. So we may have gone through terrible illnesses and we've got through them, but it might leave us with negative feelings if we've had the right type of support and self-care, maybe therapy. Maybe we can alleviate those fears and negative feelings. But also there can be health anxiety where nothing has actually happened, but we jump on any symptom that comes along. So a headache can become something catastrophic in our minds if we're not careful. And if we go to the internet to look up symptoms, we might get fed with all sorts of ideas about what it is. So when it comes to health, either seek therapy to deal with a health issue that's real or that you've gone through, something like that. But if it's symptoms, new symptoms, then go to see your healthcare professional or GP. An invalidating environment can also be the cause of stress, anxiety, low mood, low self-esteem. So what is it? It's an environment where we're surrounded by people who do not validate our feelings. It might be people, it might be a person. So when we're feeling a certain way, we will be told that it's silly, or we should grow up, or we should get over it. Basically an environment where there's little or no empathy at all. If we are in those environments, it can be very difficult to recognise exactly what our emotions are, because they're being pushed down by people around us. So this can be happening when we're children. Can be that if we grow up from an invalidating environment, we will find it hard to say what we need or to understand our emotions. We can lose touch with, what does it mean that I'm crying? I don't understand. Or I'm not going to cry because I've been told not to show it, or that it's stupid. So you can see some of the damage that can be done in an invalidating environment. So it's really important that you have people around you that do validate you, but most importantly that you validate yourself. So all this work on who am I, how am I, what are my boundaries, self-esteem, assertiveness, it's all about validating self. Because if you can validate yourself and your emotions, then people around you who won't affect you as much if they need to be around you. If they don't need to be around you, then why are they in your life? However, the main thing here is that you validate yourself. So validating self can be done through acceptance. If you feel sad, be good to yourself. Take time to understand why you feel sad. Validate that you feel sad and soothe yourself. If you feel angry, accept that you feel angry. Validate the fact that you feel angry. What is the anger about? Even if it's not helpful to feel angry, if you do feel that way, there must be a reason. And once you've found out, you can accept it, self-soothe, and change your emotion to something that is more content, less angry, less frustrated, more balanced. Endings, attachment, and moving on. Now we've already looked at mortality and loss, but this is slightly different. How are you with endings? Let's have a look at some possible endings to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. It could be the death of a significant other. It could be severing friends and family relationships of your own accord. Could be finishing personal therapies or group therapies. Could be finishing a university or college course. Could be friends and family moving away to another country. So they're still alive, but they're not as close as they used to be. Could be leaving a job And it could be the end of personal relationships, being dumped, dumping the other person, falling out, or even amicable. Still an ending. So the attachment part of this is the relationships that are formed and the attachment to that thing. But it could also be a kind of attachment to a routine. But generally it's an attachment to the people that were involved in the thing that's now finished. So it could, if it's leaving a job, it could be work colleagues that you'll miss. Leaving uni, could be uni friends that are going to be a long way away. Family members moving away, things like that. Whether we are in control of that change, of that ending, or we're not in control of it, it can still be really hard. So how do we deal with endings, attachment and moving on? I'd like to give you some kind of practical tips. It can help to write your feelings down and to explore your loss and how you're feeling. You could write a letter to the person. You can write an unsent letter. This can be for someone alive or past. You can write whatever you like in it, and there will be no repercussions because it will be unsent. They will not read it. There's no risk. You can say what you need to say if that's something that would be useful to you. If it's something you've been doing regularly, like therapy or college or uni, you could try replacing the time you would be doing those things with something else pleasant. It could be catching up with friends. Could be making arrangements to see those people again in the future. Could be finding a new way to communicate with them, or learn something new if it's the learning that you're missing. So not everything can be replaced, but it does help to not leave a massive gaping hole in your life where this thing used to be and now there's nothing. You could make some new plans on what you're going to do next. You could have some therapy to help you deal with a particular ending or attachment, depending on what it is. You can help yourself in any way you can to get through, be it eating well, exercising, or being mindful. Mindfulness can really help. If you can tap into those 5 senses, taste, touch, smell, sight and sound, which one do you like best? Which one do you tap into more? Because if you set one off, it can be really soothing for you. And to be mindful means that you're in the moment, enjoying yourself. Finally, it's really important to acknowledge the ending that's occurred, any attachments that were formed, and how you're going to move on. Acknowledge it to you. Do not invalidate yourself for how you feel based on what other people are doing or feeling. If you acknowledge yourself, you will give yourself the time you need to work through it. And just before we finish, of course, things like alcohol, drugs, tobacco smoking, things like this can be also anxiety causing. Or if we have anxiety, that they can exacerbate it. So it's another area to work on. It's not something I can discuss or work with in this type of program. And if you need any help or support with that, then I encourage you to seek it. So that's all for this session. So bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.